I don't think I'm alone in saying the statement that the illustration rares and art rares of the Scarlet and Violet era are some of the best designs and overall artwork that we've ever seen in the Pokemon TCG. A lot of these illustration rares and art rares even rival that of alternate art cards as well as special illustration rare cards. There's often times where I see one and I think that should have been the big chase or the big hit from this set. Well, if you were curious what the top 20 most expensive illustration rare cards of the Scarlet and Violet era were, today we're going to go over that list. Alright, we're going to go from descending order, so least expensive to most expensive, and we start off at number 20 with Monkey Dory from Shrouded Fable, the illustration rare card, and one of my opinions for the Monkey Dory, Petrarunt, Pheasantipity, and Okidogi line is that their illustration rare cards should have been swapped with their special illustration rare cards. I think the IRs are way better looking and way more aesthetic than the SIRs. The SIRs are too up close, so this one in my opinion deserves to be the bigger chase of the set for Monkey Dory. But anyways, I digress. Let's take a look at some values. We have July 29th, we're at a high of $20.12. From there it does go down, and its current value, which is also its low, is $15.40. Then coming up next at number 19, again from Shrouded Fable, we have the Noir illustration rare, and the whole line of Noir, Dusclops, and Duskull is a very fantastic and kind of almost comedic line that they do for the story that it tells. And most importantly too, the artwork is very unique in the sense that it's this sort of blocky coloring book style, which you don't see too often, but was kind of introduced into the Scarlet and Violet era. It's very unique, but let's take a look at some values. We have July 26th at $10. From there, it goes up to July 29th, $25.33, which is its high, and then its current value is $16.66. Then at number 18, we have the Wartortle from 151, and honestly, 151 makes up a lot of this list, and I'm sure you probably know why. There's so many illustration rares for that set, and all of them are fantastic. They all tell some amazing stories from our beloved Gen 1 Pokemon, and Wartortle, Squirtle, Blastoise are no exception for their line. So let's go ahead and take a look at some values. We have September 18th, which is its low, $13.47, where its high is on November 20th at $22.39, so just a little bit higher. And then from there, its current value is $18.93. Then at number 17, we have the Dragonair illustration rare, again from 151, and this is such a fantastic piece too. Really showcases Dragonair's sort of elegance and beauty, so to speak. So let's take a look at some values. We have September 18th, $13.86, so that's where it was during its time of pre-release. Its low is September 25th, $12.72. Its high appears to be relatively recently on October 12th, $20.14, and its current value is $18.83. Then up next, coming from Paradox Rift, we have the Steelix, and many fans believe that the Steelix is underrated and will likely increase in value. I do agree with it. I think it is an underrated card, but will it increase in value? I'm not entirely sure. Now just imagine putting the sort of metallic foil borders on here and slapping an EX at the end. You could definitely mistake this card for an EX SIR. So I don't know, just goes to show how great the artwork and how amazing the artists are doing just in general, right? I mean, every Pokemon artwork is fantastic, but really the game has really upped with Scarlet and Violet in my opinion. We go to October 16th, roughly when this set came out, $13.32. It looks like its low is December 11th, $9.30. Its high is on May 26th at, or around the 27th. Yeah, no, we'll go 26th, $26.11, and its current value is $18.96. At number 15, we have the Ivysaur, again from 151. So the second evolution of a Gen 1 starter is back again, and spoiler alert, they're all over this list, so we'll see them as they come up. But we have Ivysaur up next, and again, the storyline that's told for all three Gen 1 starters is fantastic. You get to see the evolution and the growth. Let's take a look at some values. We have September 18th, $13.41, which also happens to be its low. Its high is relatively recently on July 29th, $20.62, and its current value is $19.28. Moving on to number 14, we have the Pikachu IR from Scarlet and Violet, 151. Again, another 151 card. This one is fantastic, and I believe it held quite a lot of value for some time, but I think has since dropped down to its grace. So we have Pikachu over here in the center, kind of the center of attention, surrounded by a lot of Pokemon and trainers in some sort of town or city. It's a very happy and joyful sort of picture and artwork, and I think that captures Pikachu's personality perfectly. So let's take a look at some values. We have September 18th, $18.60. Its high appears to be October 2nd, $23.92. Its low is on October 9th, $15.29. And then its current value is $20.78. Up next, we have the Gastly from Temporal Forces. Now, I don't believe there's a Haunter and Gengar line to this card. At least I'm not sure about the Haunter, but I know there's no Gengar card directly, but there is an SIR featuring one of the trainers. I believe it's Gordy. I'm not entirely sure, but it is a pretty cool card and it features Gengar in it. So I think a lot of people are chasing after that card specifically, but this one nevertheless is fantastic. It almost has that kind of sketchbook look to it, kind of drawn in and penciled in with like pencil crayons almost. I don't know. It looks pretty neat. So let's take a look at some values. So we have March 4th, roughly when we start to see data for it, $16.46. It looks like its low is April 8th, $16.33. Its high would be June 10th, $33.71. And its current value is $21.66. Up next, we have Houndoom coming from Shrouded Fable, and this is a really nice card. It definitely features the personality and kind of the lifestyle, so to speak, kind of a weird word, for Houndoom as it's running in a pack through these kind of dark and gloomy forests, and you have red as sort of the accents among the gray and black. It's really nice. Let's take a look at some values. So we have as far back as July 26th, $6. Its high appears to be roughly August 7th, $25.19, and its current value is $22.14. Up next, we have the Dusol from Shrouded Fable. So we did see the Noir already. So this is a very nice card, and unfortunately, I don't think Dusclops makes the cut, so we don't get to see that middle kind of evolution, but this is sort of the same vibe, the same idea that we saw from the Noir, where you kind of have the same aesthetic, the same artwork of that blocky sort of solid coloring, and then you have the ghost Pokemon just kind of awkwardly in the frame, which kind of adds a little bit of comedy to it. But let's take a look at some values. We have July 26th, $29.33. It looks like its low is August 1st, $21.27, and its current value is $23.81. Entering into the top 10, we have the Charmeleon from Scarlet and Violet 151. And again, I know I've said it before with the other evolutions too for the Gen 1 starters, but there's a really nice story that it's telling, and you have Charmeleon here. We'll see Charmander in just a little bit, but essentially, yeah, it just kind of tells the story of evolution through all of these Pokemon, and I think that's really cool and something really neat to take a look at. So let's see the values here. We have September 18th, $18.65. It looks like its low is September 25th, $16.55. Its high is roughly over here, if I can get there, July 15th, $27.01, and then its current value is $23.82. All right, then at number 9, we have Bulbasaur from the Scarlet and Violet 151 set. So this one is really cool. I mean, you have Bulbasaur over here kind of blending in with the plants and wildlife and all of the flowers and everything. It's a really nice kind of calm and almost kind of like adorable, you know, sort of illustration rare artwork here. Let's take a look at some values. We have September 18th, $17.94. Its low is September 25th, $16.13. Its high is relatively recently on August 19th, $27.77. And that's also where its current value is at today. All right, then up next we have Persian, and I do apologize, this one kind of slipped the ranks and I had it under the lightly played data for some reason, so switching it to the near mint holofoil. Persian actually belongs before Bulbasaur as it has a value, a total current value of $25.54, but we'll just add it in here. So Persian is from the Shrouded Fable set, and it's likely going to decrease and make its way further down this list, but let's look at some values anyways. We have July 26th, $39.99. Its high shortly thereafter, July 29th, $41.19, and its current value goes for $25.54. And this is a really nice card. I mean, it looks like this is Giovanni's Persian from what I can tell, just given the setting and everything like that. And again, similar to what we've seen in the past, it almost sort of looks penciled in with pencil crayons, etc. So I think it looks really nice. Coming in at number 7, we have Squirtle from Scarlet and Violet 151. I think for a while Squirtle was on top of the Gen 1 IR hierarchy in terms of value, but has since dropped below Charmander, which is coming up soon. But overall, it's such fantastic artwork. You have the clear divide of colors here the yellow for the sand and the blue for the water, and then you have Squirtle kind of becoming the best of both worlds in terms of the color, and it's also the center focus. Let's look at some values. We have September 18th, $22.53. Its low appears to be on September 25th, $19.25. Its high is likely over here, January 8th, $30.23, and its current value goes for $29.19. Coming up in just a bit, or coming up now, we have the Charmander from Scarlet and Violet 151, which is the most expensive of the illustration rares coming from 151. So you have Charmander over here kind of at the bottom of this canyon, just yearning and wishing to get out. Again, the full story that the pictures tell is fantastic, but let's take a look at some values. So we have September 18th, $36.08, which happens to be its high. Shortly thereafter, it goes to its low, September 25th, $21.99. And then its current value as of August 23rd is $31.56. Entering into the top 5, we have the Tyranitar from Paldea Evolved. For a while, this Tyranitar had a pretty strong and incredible value, but I think has since gone down a little bit. But this was kind of the benchmark, I believe, for the illustration rares sort of taking over for in terms of becoming highly coveted cards, right? I mean, the trainer gallery was obviously really big for the Sword and Shield era too, but you had the V cards and I guess the V Max and V Star sort of trainer gallery cards that usually had a little more value, but these ones are just regular old Tyranitar, regular old Squirtle, right? Like there's nothing necessarily super unique about its card style, right? So I think that's what makes them so interesting. But let's look at some values. We have September 4th, $23.47. That's roughly as far back as we can go. It looks like its low is roughly over here, February 5th, $16.61, and it looks like its high was on May 20th at $45.62. Its current value, $33.01. Then we move on to Raichu, again from Paldea Evolved, and for a while I don't think Raichu had incredible value to it, but look at this artwork. It's very nice. It's very calm, very relaxing. You have Raichu just taking a nap. There's nothing crazy or chaotic going along with it, which I think is very appealing to a certain set of collectors, right? So let's look at some values. We have roughly a year ago, September 4th, $18.91. It looks like its low, if I had to pick a point, would be November 20th, $15.18. Its high is July 29th, $48.71, and its current value is $41.50. Breaking into the top 3, we have the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade. This is one of the staples to Twilight Masquerade. It's pretty much this along with the Greninja. Actually, there's a few. This, the Greninja, the Persian, and then also, oh boy, Carmine. Don't know how to pronounce it still, but those kind of 5 cards or 4 cards. Yeah, 4 cards. Sorry. Those are kind of holding the line for Twilight Masquerade. But let's look at, actually, before we look at the values, I mean, it's just a bunch of Eevees, right? It doesn't really get any better than that, especially if you're an Eevee collector, which a lot of people are. I myself love the Eeveelutions. I'm a bit of an Eevee collector, but everything's so expensive for the Eeveelutions. But let's look at some values. We have April 29th, $25.59, which also happens to be its low. Its high is July 1st, $61.12, and its current value is $47.26. All right, we move on to the second most expensive illustration rare to come from the Scarlet and Violet era, and it's the Groudon from Paradox Rift. Now, before I said the Tyranitar was kind of the first card to sort of break the bank on illustration rares being the next big thing, but honestly, I might even say it's the Groudon from Paradox Rift. It's between the Tyranitar and Groudon, but I just think the Groudon took so many people by storm. Everybody was super psyched to see this card come out in the illustration rare slot, and everybody was kind of shocked it wasn't an SIR, but it just goes to show how good and how heavy set the IR slot is, right? So let's look at some values. We have October 16th, 2254, which I think would be its low. It is its low. And then its high is May 27th, $64.28, and its current value is $51.51. And then the final card for this list and the most expensive illustration rare card for the Scarlet and Violet era is the Magikarp coming from Paldea Evolved. So I will say, I've said it 100 times now, 2 times, this card for sure was the sort of magnum opus for the Scarlet and Violet era in terms of the illustration rare card is going to be the most expensive chase card from the set. For Paldea Evolved, I think it was the Iono card for a while, but I'm pretty sure now the Magikarp has surpassed the Iono. Iono was like really expensive, had a lot of value, a lot of people wanted it. The Magikarp was right behind it, and then shortly there after, the waifu craze kind of ended and people weren't so interested in the trainer cards, but Magikarp was still up there, was still on top. So attaboy Magikarp. Let's look at some values here, but for starters, look how beautiful this artwork is. You have the Gyarados in the top right corner over here. It very much matches that of the Giratina V alternate art card from Lost Origin. Apparently it's the same artist. I didn't fact check that though, but anyways, now let's take a look at some values. We have August 28th, $54.43. That also happens to be its low. Its high, $141.44 on June 17th, and its current value is $116.13. All right, that concludes the list for the top 20 most expensive illustration rare cards coming from the Scarlet and Violet era. As mentioned in the beginning, more than likely the beginning of this list, or the top like 12 or so, the first 12 cards we went over, a lot of them are probably going to move their values, shift around, shift positions, right? It's just kind of how it is, especially the newer sets like Shrouded Fable, and then with Stellar Crown coming out soon, that'll probably make some movement. So this list is not set in stone, and it's going to move probably relatively soon. But for now, these are the values. These are the top 20. I'd love to know your thoughts on them. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.